want to have our panel introduce themselves. I'll start with myself. I am Owen Luddy, the head of talent at Arootah. We are a hedge fund family office advisory founded by Rich Bello, the co-founder of Blue Ridge Capital. We aim to help everyone here in talent acquisition, development, and furthering the mission of their funds. I'll leave to Angela, and then we'll come down the line.
Hi, my name is Angela Outlaw-Matheny. I am head of, actually director of diverse manager equity at Crewcial Partners, where we manage $27 billion in our New York City office for our nonprofit client base.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Sasha Jensen. I'm the founder and CEO of Jensen Partners. We're an executive search firm that exclusively focuses on capital formation, and we run a data science and data analytic model of recruitment.
Great. I'm John Claisse. I'm the CEO of the Albourne Group. We're an investment advisory firm, strictly non-discretionary, advising across all alternatives. And we have about 630 employees globally in 11 offices. And we advise about 350 LPs on their allocations across alternatives and over 750 billion that they have invested.
Hi, I'm Grace Reyes, CEO and founder of the Investment Diversity Exchange, also known as TIDE. We promote diversity and inclusion within the institutional investment space and a partner to the largest US pension plans in their DEI efforts.
All right, so we have some expertise here. So with that, I wanted to get us started to talk about, I'm a process person, a procedure person, and identifying ways to really attract talent and bring them on board is critical to anyone's mission here. I think, obviously we're not a filled crowd, but people here understand the importance of it. So from your perspectives, have you seen in the past year or two some winning strategies from clients or your own firms that have really helped you to bolster your talent and not hire pretty good, but really amazing people for your team? I'll hand it off to Sasha first to take the charge, and everyone jump in then.
So our clients, just to give context for a second, are some of the largest private equity firms in the world and some of the smallest alternative asset managers in the world as well. So you have the kind of the behemoths, the large caps, and you have the small caps, and you have the mid caps. And all of them have slightly different talent acquisition strategies, I would say. The larger private equity firms, they have very much, I would say, thought through programs of mentorship. They have specific rollouts of benefits, leadership acceleration programs. And so it kind of is difficult if you have, for example, a smaller firm trying to attract the same candidate as the larger firm, because there's obvious reasons why the candidate would trade to the larger firm. However, some of the cultural norms that come with working with a larger platform, a larger private equity firm, aren't necessarily as attractive as building a firm, growing a firm, having a very inclusive, close culture. Not that larger firms do not have that, but there is definitely ways to think about mechanisms of attracting talent across the board. And one of the ways that we see is that the key things that we tell our clients to think about are as follows. Always be in the recruiting game. So 365 days a year, you should always be recruiting. Just don't recruit when the position is live. Number two, always articulate the message of your firm, its culture, its differentiation. And that's really important when it comes to actually attracting the candidate and closing them against, for example, live competition. And then, this is an interesting one, always keep your eye on Glassdoor. So any firm can have their reputation spoken about in any way on Glassdoor. It's the whole point of it. So candidates read it. All of our candidates read it. No matter how senior or how junior, there's always an eye cast on that, so keep an eye on it. And then the other important message is to always think about being live on LinkedIn, being live on your media channels, and think very closely and carefully about the cultural narrative that you are expounding on those channels. And we have long discussions with our clients about this regularly, how to kind of keep their culture live online, if you like. And so these are kind of some of the methodologies that they utilize to attract talent.
Very good. How about yourself, Angela?
Well, first of all, I want to commend Sasha on her work and that of her firm, because long ago, my HR background said to me that you couldn't explicitly put out what you were looking for in terms of a diverse candidate. I'm looking for a Black professional or Latinx professional. You couldn't do that years ago. And so now we have a bunch of programs and executive recruiting agencies that are focused on diversity, and they could outrightly, people could express what they're looking for. That professional understands how they want to diversify their team. And so I'm excited about all of the activity that's happening while federal and even local initiatives are coming down the pike, destroying our idea of the value that diverse teams bring, but we're unwavered by that. That brings me to a survey that I want to point out, where I sit on the board for the Black Hedge Funds Professional Network that just came out, where Prozac, a firm, helped us with this survey, and it pointed to how did you even venture into the field of finance? And what are the barriers, or what barriers kept you from achieving a certain level of success as a diverse candidate, or where are we looking for talent? So I'm happy to say that with this network, we have a membership of individuals not only in the hedge fund space, but across alternatives. And last night we had our signature event here in Miami, taking advantage of all of the professionals that are here today. And what we want to see is more diversity in the industry, not only internally on teams if you're an LP or an allocator, but also we ask questions, who's in your portfolio and how are you thinking about diversification? So I'm excited about all of this activity, but I hope that we don't regress because it is so needed across various spectrums. And I'm happy about the survey. I'm happy that there's some attention to this, and I'm happy about what we're allowed to say on social media now.
Excellent. How about yourself, John?
Yeah, just thinking how to tackle this in terms of what's working, and thinking about, so we kind of, different stakeholders, so there's sort of the LPs that we work with, GPs and Albourne, and certainly across LPs and Albourne, certainly a trend we're seeing is that is moving away from like fund managers, so thinking about kind of allocators, and we're also embracing this, is really kind of a big emphasis around internships, and really kind of opening up a bigger kind of cohort and from different channels to really kind of get exposure to an investment team. Because that could be one of the challenges of just working out kind of who wants to work at an allocator, at a pension plan, endowment foundation, or at a consulting firm, and that has been really successful in terms of different channels. Some in partnership with with specific groups that kind of looking at internship channels. But so I'll give you an example. What's worked, like in Canada, where we have a large operational diligence team. We now run these sort of, multi-campus awareness sessions where we kind of, bring, in the end, there are, 100+ students attend live, but with all the recruitment kind of groups. And then we end up now with, over like 1,200 applications for our internship person there for undergrads. We're also doing that also with high school students as well, which is rewarding for colleagues, but also for sort of that kind of the awareness in the industry. But then for more senior roles, partnering with firms. I'm on the governing board of Twigo, and working with groups like that, MLT or SEO, to tap into, to broaden the network of talent that can come into organizations, and that's on the LP and the across the platform, across different investor types. So I think those are a couple of examples.
Excellent. How about yourself, Grace?
So I actually like all these examples. I would say if you want to attract talent, go to Sasha to find talent. And Angela mentioned attending events, the Black Hedge Fund Network, so being out there. And then you had mentioned, John, about getting the senior folks in touch with the younger folks. And so for me, I think one way we can make a difference in attracting talent is through board seats. So I had a conversation with an LP, and I was like, how did you get this board seat? And he's like, to be honest, it wasn't until the George Floyd movement till I got these offers. And it wasn't because he wasn't qualified, because he is. He wasn't because he was well-respected, because he is. It's just they never thought about diversity in the board seats. So I think that's an opportunity where you could attract talent by focusing on diverse talent on the board seats.
Very good. Now, as someone who hires both internally and externally for my clients, both fractional and full-time, I faced a crisis with a quantity of candidates that apply and those that are quality that I go out to kind of reach out to and really do my own headhunting effectively. So with that, what are your clients seeing in terms of the influx of candidates? Are they seeing quality? Or are they going outside? Or in your own firms as well? Are they going outside to really kind of headhunt or working with partnerships? Obviously, Sasha, they're working with you, but are they working, with other partners to really enhance the quality of their candidates? And are they sacrificing anything to get there? And how are they evaluating their candidates?
That for me.
Let's start with Sasha. Let's go for it.
I have many opinions on the subject.
Yeah,
So I think it's really interesting. So in the last few years, that there's been a real evolution, to your point. We sat down with our clients, I would say, just before the George Floyd movement, and we were struggling with the fact that they started every single search with the mandate they wanted to hire a diversity of gender, or diversity of race, or diversity of ethnicity individual. And then at the end of the search, they would always end up hiring not that, let me say. And so we decided to create a methodology. My global head of product, who's sitting there in the audience over there, I can't see for the blinding lights, but we created Jensen Diversity Metrics, which is a tool that we utilized to analyze self-identification, and we analyzed the promotion, the advancement, talent acquisition, and retention of every asset manager. So we utilize that as a tool for going out to specific candidates to headhunt them. And that, in the last sort of 2.5, 3 years, has been really important to us. Has been an ability to sell our candidates the commitment of our clients, and how they have been listening to the shift change and the sea change in the environment, and they've been thinking about how our clients are thinking about culture, how they're thinking about diversity, how they're thinking about true inclusiveness, how they're thinking about belonging. And so we've been able to go out to the market with a messaging that we've never been able to do so before, which has been really powerful for us. So that's one methodology I would want to speak to and talk about, and which I think has been a great advancement in the human capital talent acquisition universe. And then I think the other part of it is the ability to, for our clients, being able to offer real programs within a recruitment schedule. So you bring somebody on board, and you actually have, so for example, a couple of my clients utilize a group, and I've been permissioned to say this, Beyond Barriers, which is a leadership acceleration program which is run specifically for women and diverse candidates, but anybody in the platform, if the fund employs Beyond Barriers, you can actually be part of it, and it really helps get rid of imposter syndrome. It helps really accelerate the thought process of young leaders, so brings up diamonds, that maybe were in the rough, and then brings them out into the lights. Really, really an impressive program, and I think if you can talk to these are part of the sort of toolkit that the partners of these funds can use to bring people on board and have, a real vision to do so.
Very good. How about yourself, John?
Yeah, I'm going to sort of build on that, because I think it's a great point about thinking about just, a lot of openings, actually, we end up hiring from within, right? So a lot of it is actually about how you make like the fairest and most objective promotion decisions as well within organizations. And so thinking about kind of the mentorship, so programs, we've used a group called Mentor Click to kind of expand the way that mentorship exists across the Albourne platform, but also KSA frameworks, so knowledge, skills, and abilities, much more objectivity around exactly what's required for a role. So that can be kind of for entry-level positions, and when we're hiring from outside, but being able to be more objective, so moving away from kind of, that you hit certain levels of experience of that you've been at a certain proper noun organizations, and actually thinking about the clear transferable skills that someone needs, which then I think drives greater consistency in both the interview process, and then the promotion process within an organization, and makes it clearer to individuals that maybe that there may be positions that are open to them than they do more kind of lateral moves within organizations. So that's something that's been really, I think, kind of helpful. But that also helps with the screening, right? Objective screening. I mean, other things in terms of like thinking about kind of, it almost goes back to the first question about things that are sort of working, and just like that also helps with screening, the KSA side of things. But as with things that haven't worked, so taking names off of resumes, and actually we need to be just really deliberate about reaching out to bring more individuals into the pool. But also when you're like getting down that kind of pipeline, being very proactive in supporting different candidates through the process, so they really understand what to expect. And then also when you're getting close to kind of making offers, that they see from an interview from the interview perspective, like people that look like them in the process, and that there's diversity there as well. So it doesn't really attack that kind of the challenge you said there about large, but just building on how you make really objective decisions.
Right.
And attract the best talent.
Very good.
Can I talk about curating talent? Because John, I want to double down about something you said, and also you, Sasha. I'm such a huge fan of curating talent and transferable skills. We have to be able to recognize those skills so that diverse candidates can go to the next level. And so we've done that. We've created a role called the associate consultant, where they sit second chair to our CIO and the other consultants at Crewcial Partners to break up what has been historically this homogenous group of white consultants that, a lot get a bad rap, because they're called gatekeepers. We think of ourselves as gatekeepers of diversity. And so one of the big things that we've done was change our name from Colonial to now Crewcial Partners, because I thought that maybe that was causing maybe some managers to not think that we were approachable. And I remember going to a conference years ago, and they didn't even believe that there were black persons at Colonial, and they were surprised when they came in for a meeting, managers, that we were bringing through our process when I was hired 7 years ago to source women and people of color, and we continue to do that work today. But we hire white people as well. So we have about 12% of our assets, again, $27 billion, allocated to diverse professionals. And then Sasha, it's interesting what your firm is doing, and I love all of what you said, but how do we retain the talent? How do we hold on to the talent? I remember going to graduate school and them recruiting me and then just letting me go and like never checking in on me. Thinking about the workplace, how do we retain those professionals? Do they have a true sense of belonging? How much autonomy do they have? How much freedom do they have to express their ideas and opinions? And is anyone doubling down or supporting those opinions? Let's talk about microaggressions and why we see a rising tide of black women starting their own businesses, coming out of the traditional workforce. I look at those stats and I look at those trends, and I follow where they're going and why. So exit interviews, as I'm sure you know, is hugely important, but it would be interesting to know why those candidates didn't get the job.
And Angela, you and I spoke about this just briefly over there, was the idea of cognitive bias being just throughout the organizations that are here. Really everyone has a cognitive bias. And how has your team, started to mitigate that cognitive bias to ensure more robust hiring decisions are being made? I know my team, as I mentioned to you, we've set up a very structured interview process that's hiring for the role. We're not hiring the person. We want to make sure the person is the best person for the job. We have to do our part to expand, but how is your team doing that to train your team to eliminate cognitive bias from their decision making?
You probably can't eliminate it, but you can certainly manage biases, right? Because I have biases as a black woman as well as anyone else. And so making sure that those unconscious bias decisions, confirmation bias even, don't creep into our investment decision-making process is a huge thing we've been working on at Crewcial. The other thing is, for the past 3 years, our CIO had the nerve, the fortitude, to have me co-lead the investment team alongside of him. And this was a critical time at our firm as we were evolving as a firm. because DE&I came up on the Zoom calls almost every day during COVID. So that was a critical time where we could really, really focus on what is the next iteration of our work as we look to source and vet managers, but also internally, we wanted to execute our values across everything that we did. And so we were really, really hugely focused on the team, making sure we had the right team to go out to do the work, to appreciate the managers that we were bringing in, making sure that we had built fair processes so that they could be respected. And we were patient in meetings, and there was a diverse team sitting across the table from them so that our team could appreciate the diversity in their portfolio and the innovation that they were seeing in portfolio companies, such as things like hair extensions and disrupting the hair care market in the Black community. Why would you care as a bald white guy? But understanding that there's so many metrics behind that and disruption, again, that was happening in that industry, I'm not sure that everyone would have understood that because maybe you don't care about it, so you didn't think it was a huge market. Well, my team understood it and appreciated it, and that's just one example of what we see when we're underwriting.
Very good. And Grace, I know you've been working, when we all first met, you were talking about how you're kind of working the top-down board seats and adding diversity to those. Do you want to extrapolate on the kind of board diversification that you've been working on with the diversity exchange?
Well, that's more nascent. I guess
okay.
when we first started in January 2020, we became the go-to for DEI. So whenever people think of DEI, even though we haven't done anything about like the board seats, they come to us. But I think one thing that we have done differently is at our event, we had Rising Stars. We had a Rising Star panel. And this year we're thinking of getting the younger generation at the events, because at the end of the day, those are the people that are going to rule the industry. And so you guys have mentioned methodology and processes. I think one practical thing is, I give this analogy, two friends are walking on the beach and there's a lot of starfish that has been washed up, and one of the friends picks up the starfish and throws it out into the ocean. And the other friend was like, why did you pick up that starfish when there's all these other starfish? It won't make a difference. And the friend said, well, it made a difference to that one starfish. So for us, I think if we could make a difference to one professional, that's enough for us. So if we could help someone get into one board seat, get funding, to us, that's making a difference.
Love it. All right, and I think we're getting, I think we have time for our AI topic now, if y'all are interested. So AI, it's permeating into everything that we do in the alternatives investment industry. There's a mandate out there to incorporate it in any process, procedure, whatever's going on. Find a use case for it and adapt. Now myself, I've used it to help me in structuring my interviews. And there's obviously liabilities to using it within the talent acquisition field. So I want to hear, from your sides, potential use cases that you've seen from the talent acquisition cycle, or in any cases, what you've seen in trending from firms that want to build out their AI teams. What trends are you seeing from that side? I know there's a lot of liabilities. Angela, you and I spoke about one very big one when it comes to talent acquisition. So I'll let you kind of take the lead on this, and we'll...
I don't want to be too cynical, but when it comes to talent acquisition, I wonder, what are we weeding out, and are we capturing the most important data if we're going to use AI from a talent maximization perspective? I'm going to punt this over to my other panelists, but not before I say that I am greatly focused on the biases and the liabilities. To your point, looking at all that is happening in Black social media, which I pay a lot of attention to, facial recognition, and how that is really, really affecting Black and brown communities. And I heard in a report, and this is, disappointing, and it hit my heart as hard as it did when it affects Black and brown communities, but a white man went to jail because he was wrongly, accused of a crime. and they identified him through facial recognition AI technology, and he was actually in another state at the time, but not before doing some time in jail. So, you know, they say that when America gets a cold, you know, the Black and brown community catches the flu. So unfortunately, that has happened, and so maybe now greater attention is going to be put on this issues of focusing on what biases are we tackling. And I know Google is working on this, and probably many others when it comes to AI.
Very good. And Sasha, I know you mentioned that you're using it in some capacity, but not in a large scale. I know we talked about this a little bit about keeping the hand on the wheel, but tell me about the use case that you found in utilizing AI within your firm.
So Jensen Partners has been utilizing it as a scraping tool, a very highly advanced scraping tool. You know, if you think very sort of, to give context, what we do, we're tagging, you know, over probably 1,000 asset managers, and we're tagging every single hire and departure, and we're utilizing AI to overlay from a quantitative and then a qualitative standpoint, the diversity, equity, inclusion overlay, as well as the individual overlay of every hire and every departure, analyzing, you know, where these individuals are going to your point, are they being retained, are they not? If not, why not? The qualitative part comes in, and AI can't help you with that. So what did you say? You know, have to have a hand on the steering wheel with AI?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we definitely utilize the qualitative part to utilizing the AI, the information that AI delivers to us, but ensuring that we have that, you know, contextualization and understanding, you know, in trying to make sure that we don't make assumptions that we shouldn't be, that AI can just lend us because of the data that's bringing in. It needs qualifying. So that's one case.
Perfect. And how about yourself, Grace?
So not as far as talent, but we, at our Tide Spark event, we had a panel called The Other D&I, so Disruption and Innovation, and David Fan, who was former chairman of Axia and now with Apogem, he had mentioned that they would use it for RFPs. So the first pass, the AI would do it, and then they'll look at it. So yeah, I think any analyst roles, any analyst task can be fulfilled or used by AI.
Very good. How about yourself, John?
Well, yeah. We're not using AI in our HR processes at this point in time. We have an AI team, a machine learning team, we refer to it as, for the last 7 years, sort of 8 dedicated researchers, partnerships with academic universities and in terms of academic institutions, and then sponsoring PhDs there. So but it kind of drives a lot of our investment process, but not in the recruitment side. I mean, I think probably obviously across the fund manager community, you know, bringing kind of that talent or training at this point is, you know, it's a big focus for us as well. We have our AI task force really thinking about how large language models will impact all of the analyst roles. So just building on what Grace was saying, you know, that's a skill set that we need to develop. We need to understand how you know, different models will impact the roles of anyone within the organization on the business and the investment side. And we've done some surveys of, you know, now, you know, several $1 trillion worth of kind of assets under management of managers about how they're incorporating AI and large language models into their investment and business processes. And you know, it's something we're monitoring really closely. But yeah, in terms of actual HR processes and recruitment, not at this time.
Very good. And I always end our team meetings saying that, you know, humans will not be replaced by AI, but we will be replaced by humans that utilize AI. So, you know, it's always fair enough to be cognizant of the changes and adaptations that we need to be aware of. So, but that does bring us to time. It's been a pleasure meeting you all and working with you all the past few weeks, although this is the first time we really got to sit down. But thank you all, and thank you all for taking the time to talk about the importance of talent acquisition.